I told you people something a long time ago, and it's just as pertinent today as it was then. Ladies and gentlemen, take my advice. Pull down your pants, slide on the ice.
Welcome to You Served US, podcast dedicated to serve those who have served us. Not a guidebook or how-to, but real-life experiences on subjects you may find helpful or necessary to navigate your separation or retirement from the military. I'm your host, Robert Benedict. I retired from the Coast Guard 13 years ago. I'm here doing this podcast because I want to help. One of the things I wanted to do on this is to, sometimes I'm going to be repeating myself and repeating some information. I do, as much as I possibly can, want to have each podcast kind of stand on its own. I might refer you to another podcast or say, as I mentioned on another podcast. But I want each podcast's information to pretty much stand all by itself. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the trades. There's been said, I know on my brother's, the episode my brother and I did together, he had spoke that the GI Bill will, help pay for the trades. Now, I did look this up, and if you have the post 9/11 GI Bill, it only pays for the traditional 4-year college. If you have the Montgomery GI Bill, this is all from what I've read, that will pay for, your online courses. It will pay for your trade schools and certificates and whatnot. So depending on what you want out of your GI Bill would really depend on which one you should choose. And I suggest that you work with your administration or your education office or whatnot and try to find the one that works out best for you. Now, there are a lot of programs out there. I'm just going to name a few of them, and you can look these up yourself. There are a lot of programs out there for veterans in the trades. And let me tell you, the trades are very busy right now because they don't have as many people in there as they should. So they're aching for people right now. I did a quick search on Google and found 8 trade schools for troops. The International Culinary Center, they have a program for troops. Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics. You have Berks Technology, or how's that go? Berks, B-E-R-K-S, Technical Institute. And you have the ETI School of Skilled Trades and McCann School of Business and Technology. Man, it just goes on and on. There is a lot of opportunity out there for people in the trades. And let me tell you, they make good money. They're always working. Other people may get laid off. Other people may have trouble, keeping a job or whatnot, but the trades are always in need of people. When your pipes burst, you're going to want to call a plumber. You're not going to want to wait 3 weeks because you need the plumber now. We've had this once before. We had my furnace went out in Alaska. And when your furnace goes out in Alaska, it's not an inconvenience. That is really, really bad. So there's always the need. There's always but we'll just keep it at need. There's always a need for tradesmen. There's construction, plumbing. My God, look at in my family alone. All 3 of my brothers and I served in the military. My eldest brother has a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree, and my brother has been through trades. All of us at one point found we had more success in the trades. For instance, right now I'm educated in administrative management, and I'm driving a paratransit bus. It's not only rewarding, but it's pretty good money. It's a livable wage. I'm actually enjoying that. My eldest brother, the one with the bachelor's degree, he was a handyman for a while in between jobs because when you have that degree, you are occasionally going to suffer a layoff or some other incidents happening. So having a trade skill. That brother with the bachelor's degree, he's also a fine carpenter. And that helped him move into the trades a little bit. That's where my other brother, Fred, was trained in the military and afterwards for heavy equipment operator, which gets paid very well also. So even if you have a degree, having a trade to fall back on is an excellent idea, and there's so many opportunities out there. But let's look real quick. Bobby, your house, not long ago, needed a roof.
Yep.
How long did it take to get somebody to even talk to you about it?
Oh, God, let me see. I realized I needed the roof sometime in January of this year, and they finally came out, I'm going to say early April.
Yeah. So we're talking months.
Yeah.
Why? They were too busy.
Yeah, they just had everything going on.
Yeah. If you have enough... if you have enough people and everything to do 50 jobs, and you're getting 300 phone calls, you're well employed, and you're going to make good money because they do. And correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm sure you looked at your bill. I'm sure the cost of labor was highest part. Right.
That's what got me with the tree trimming too. Because it is work over a house with large tree branches that were very neglected. So they were like, look, we're going to have to get somebody on a boom up here to just, like, make sure this doesn't just crush your house. And I was like, I'd appreciate that. But, of course, that's going to cost extra money. Going to need some people who know how to operate machines around trees, not just some guy with a chainsaw who wants $50. Like, right. I had to get certified arborists out here to make sure they didn't kill the tree and break my house. And so
sounds like they've a pretty good lobby too to get with the local rule makers to say they have to be a certified arborist, so now they get paid. So you own a house now, and you're going to find there's things that need to get done that are beyond your skill level. No matter how many YouTube shows you watch, which I do quite a bit, no matter how many YouTube shows you watch, it's not just your ability to do it, but your ability to do it well.
Yeah. That's one of the problems I'm running into is I know I could take a chainsaw to a tree if I don't mind it dying, but it's when there's a electrical wire that is the main electricity to the house that for some reason someone thought was a good idea to run through the center of a tree many years ago. That's going on, and then I call the electrical company for their free tree trimming service, and they go, wrong department, and then they never call me back. That's when I'm like, okay, I got to get a professional out here, I guess. That's fun.
So you out there, all of you out there who have ever had to deal with the needs of someone in trades, you are very thankful when they're able to show up and be there, because you can live without a furnace, but it's not comfortable. You can live without that air conditioner, but it's not comfortable. You can kind of live without a roof, depending on how you patch it. But how many roofing companies did you contact that never even called you back?
I'm gonna say I contacted 5 of them that never called me back. 2 of them called me back. One of them actually scheduled a day.
There you go. And I think that's a pretty good representation, if not a very positive representation of what you get. Because, when you can just, I just don't have time for this guy. I'm not even going to call him back. I don't have time to do it, so I'm not going to call him back. That's a pretty good. That's supply and demand right there. When you have more demand than you have supply, that's you can write your own check. So. Let me tell you, those trades, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, heavy equipment operators, welders. Oh yeah, if you can run a good weld bead, that's hard to do.
I mean, even if you can't run a good one, you can get certified and trained up in 6 months.
Right.
And I mean, Union Pacific, all over the place, always needing welders, always needing people out there, especially up here in Truckee.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, do you want to be on the snowy mountain this winter and maybe not see anyone for 2 months? And you just got to be like, will I pull in $70K? They're like, yeah. All right.
Yeah, see? Yeah. So in some ways, it's like you don't necessarily have to be skilled. You just have to be willing.
Yeah.
If you're a quick learner and you want to get out there and make some bank, and then take a few months off and go stay in Hawaii for a while.
And if you end up in a situation like Uncle Fred was, where you're just like, well, I don't technically have a home anymore and nothing tying me down, and you're just wandering.
Yeah.
Just get certified somewhere and just reach for the stars. Go be like, I'll just work the pipelines in Alaska for way too much money.
Yeah,
it's
there are construction companies from outside of Nevada coming in here right now because of the housing boom that's in Nevada right now. They're building houses and condos and apartments. The building boom out here is incredible because of the move of the tech industry out here. And there are construction companies coming from all over the U.S. And they're making good money and they're doing really good. So yeah, you want to travel? Go ahead. That's how you do it.
And especially electricians. Like I know some guys who just, they didn't want to go to college.
Right.
So they were just like, I'll just become a Sparky. You get done with the schooling, you're making 50, 60K, but you got to travel a bunch. You got to go to where the work is. And so, you hook up with the right place, get yourself a journeyman path to get on.
The apprentice and journeyman and blah, blah, blah.
Then you can be making very fine living, especially if you're pulling in 60K in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You'll be real comfortable if you're like in North Dakota pulling in that much. Whereas
you can buy a really nice house for about $150,000, and if you're making that a year, you're doing fine.
So, I mean, honestly, the trades, boy, I wish I would have looked at that at all, but...
Because here are people who... They go into college. They don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
A lot of them. How many people did you know when you were in college? How many people
of them.
Undeclared? They have no idea what they're going to do. Yeah, that's very common.
I don't know if I knew anybody who didn't switch majors at least twice when I was in college.
So common. I mean, unless you're like your cousin who went to a particular school of the arts and that's kind of what you're doing, or a culinary institute or something like that. You know where you're going. It's so common that if you want, man, just instead of going into college right away, go to the trades. If you want to eventually parlay that into a degree later on, that's fine. But boy, the trades are paying right now.
Save up some money over 4 or 5 years. After you get done with that, go grab a project manager or a program management degree, some sort of business degree, and then guess what? You
own your company.
Use that a bunch. Yeah.
I talked to a guy recently that full disclosure, I was an Uber driver for a while. I still kind of do it part-time now, but I had a guy who owns a plumbing contractor, and he was just busier than anything. And I said, what's the name of your company? He goes, well, it's written on that crane right there, so you'll know it. Oh, wow. He says, I'm a plumber, and I have a crane.
Dope.
So he's making a lot of good money. He says I'm really busy, and for myself, I enjoy being busy. There's a lot of us out there who are in the military who don't like just to sit around and twiddle our thumbs and wait. And in the trades, you won't. You are going to be busy. You're going to be going to this house one day, that house next, and sometimes doing 3 projects in one day. You just never know. You can be the guy who I talked to that was doing the plumbing. He started as just a regular old home plumber, and just eventually, like, I'm going to start my own business. And like within a year, he's like, should I use all this extra money to buy a brand new truck, top of the line with everything, or should I use money to buy something? He's ready to go pay cash for a brand new truck because he just has it sitting there. And we're not saying it's a get rich quick scheme. It's sometimes very hard work, and sometimes you're out in the elements. If that doesn't bug you, that's a good thing. But a lot of it is process. You're building a house, you have a process for that. You got the foundation, you got the sticks, you got there's a process for it. And once you learn the process and you develop that work ethic within there. Once you get that reputation with that work ethic, man, you could write your own tickets for that. Yeah, and some people, use what little skills they have and build a chicken coop in their backyard.
You can really do whatever you like. No one tells you this, guys. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Especially, that's, if I could encourage anyone, just look up your local laws. But also, if there's no explicit laws telling you not to do something, just do it.
Yeah. Like build a chicken coop in your
Build a
backyard.
chicken coop.
And raise chickens for
I
eggs.
specifically was just like, there's no HOAs. I had a couch in my front yard for like a year until they were like, you can't actually have this blocking the sidewalk. I was like, okay, cool, I'll get rid of it. Just do stuff. You'll be fine.
Right. Yeah, we're really getting off topic, which is actually kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But I can't hammer home enough. There's a lot of people out there who will get their 4-year degree, and that's great, but they'll end up in such debt, and they'll have just a cursory knowledge on how to do a specific job. And I think you had mentioned once before in our podcast, a lot of stuff that you do right now that your degree got you in the door to do, you'll actually learn quite a bit of it from YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the stuff that college teaches you has no bearing on anything in the real world anymore, either because the professors or the institutions are out of date or being paid by other people who aren't relevant to the workforce, so you end up in a loop going, cool, I learned this specific thing for this specific... Like, no one's going to write in C++, even if you are a software programmer. They're going to write in Java or XML.
Right.
So it's like, even if you get the big prized software degrees or something, you're going to end up screwed having to learn everything on the fly.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, everyone I know that has gotten their degree super regrets it. So just do a trade, because even when the grid goes down and we're stuck in the apocalypse, you'll be useful still. Me, I have to YouTube things like how to build a chicken coop or fix my toilet because I am functionally useless in society.
Yeah, me as your father, I really did you a solid by, being in the military housing, you don't fix anything.
No.
You pretty much just, you call
anything.
somebody.
You don't fix anything, and there's a specific person to call because it's very controlled.
Yeah. So some guy comes over in his overalls and says, "Hey, how you doing? Okay, we'll get that toilet out of there. All right, put the new toilet in. You're ready to rock and roll." Yeah. So, and let me tell you something. My dad was a great mechanic. He knew he could build a car from the wheels up. He was that good. That knowledge did not pass to me. I learned a little bit.
How to hold a flashlight, real good.
Every once in a while I'd say, "Dad, that thing right there doesn't look like the picture." And he goes, "Oh, darn it, I messed it up," and he'd fix it. But he was a great mechanic, could not do carpentry to save his life.
Right.
And yeah, he had no skills whatsoever. But my brother, he's a skilled carpenter. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have to be willing to go out and just try it and do it and screw it up and then fix it. The first time my dad, he had an old car. I think it was a 47 Ford. He had it, and it had no engine, and he went out and bought, like, for $50. You could do this back in the 50s. You bought an engine for $50. You brought it back. You took it apart, put it back together. First time you popped the clutch down a hill, it came to a screeching halt. He tightened everything down so much that the thing just would not move. He learned a lesson from that. He had to pull it back apart again and put everything back the right way.
Get a torque wrench and actually make sure he's got the right pounds per square inch or whatever on it.
Whatever, right.
Yeah.
The whole thing, he said, because where he lived in Everett, Washington, he lived on the top of this hill with a little trail going down the driveway, and he pointed that thing down the hill, popped the clutch, and so you learn by doing, you learn by screwing things up and fixing it. And that's another thing, mechanics. Your car's going to break down.
Yep.
And your cars nowadays are more and more complex. You almost have to be a computer scientist nowadays to do the cars. And let me tell you something, with all these electrical cars coming out nowadays, you're not going to be a mechanic anymore.
Yeah, I mean, half the stuff isn't even in there that you would be used to in a regular car.
Yeah, go get your electrical degree. Go get your electrical and computer, because that's probably where we're headed. I've been waiting for this my entire life. I've been waiting to get in and drive one of those electric cars that doesn't look like a cheese wedge. Those things are ridiculous looking. And now they got them that are cooled. They can go for 400 miles. They can do almost everything a gas car can do.
They can drive themselves, almost.
Yeah, the only thing they can't do is go vroom, vroom. You probably have to do that yourself. But I've been waiting for that forever. Now it's
Stereos are good enough. Just crank it up and play some car noises to yourself. Like, do you really need it? No.
Hey, that's what I do with my fireplace. I turn my 4K television onto YouTube and I play a fireplace, and it looks great.
Just do it in the car too.
Yeah, I could, I guess. I'm sure Elon Musk will come up with a campfire app.
Why not?
Probably happen one of these days. But these are the kinds of things. The future's coming, and there's still going to need to be mechanics, because there's still going to be mechanical stuff in the near future. But you don't want to get caught being the world's best buggy whip manufacturer.
Yep.
You don't want to do that. You want to look ahead at the trends, look ahead at the things that are coming, and figure out where you can fit within that and where your interests lie within that. But like I said, electrical, those new motors, learn those things in and out. There has to be, and I haven't looked this up yet. This is just off the top of my head. There has to be some kind of trade school or some kind of training on electrical vehicles, because boy howdy, they're coming.
Yep.
They're coming. When every car manufacturer is going, oh, look, Elon Musk has finally made this cool, finally made this sellable. Let's go ahead and start doing it now.
Even outside of just the cars, the amount of charging hubs they're having to put out in public, or even if you learn how to put one in a house, people are going to need those set up for their electric cars. So
electrician. Yeah,
because either you'll get paid to personally set them up in people's houses, or you'll get paid by the city to set them up in the various public locations. Like here, it's the casinos, that Target parking lot, downtown, just out and about, or in the middle of the desert. They've got a few from between here and Vegas.
Yeah, they do.
They got a few set up because they're going to need them. Make the full 400 miles, not.
Yeah,
one charge.
I live in Reno, and I drove down to Vegas. Well, really Arizona, but through Vegas 2 years ago, and there was one charging station. I drove again this last year, and there was 4 charging stations in between. They're building the infrastructure, folks. They're building the infrastructure for these EVs, and if you can get on there, if you can if you were trained as an electrician in the military, great, man, get your certifications and use that. But look at the long-term trends, and that's where we're trending. We're trending towards the cleaner, I love a good muscle car. Oh, man, give me a V8 that goes rumble, rumble, rumble. Man, I love those. But my daily driver, eventually, I want to be an EV because, they're cheaper. They're in
the long run, they're going to be cheaper. You're not having to get constant oil changes. You're not going to have to get gas all the time. Sure, your electric bill is going to be a little higher, but I mean, it's already probably high enough with the amount of other stuff we got electrically plugged in, right?
When you look at this, I was reading online about these. I was researching it for myself a while back, and to charge an EV for like 4 or 5 hours, it's only like $4 or $5. It's not that expensive. So
for the price of 1 gallon of gas, you can get 400 miles.
Now, I learned all this a long time ago as a warehouse manager. I learned it's cheaper to get electric forklifts. They're cleaner, there's no exhaust, and they're cheaper to power. I knew this a long time ago, and now the world is finding this stuff out too. So if you put it in that perspective, you can maybe able to understand a little bit more. And there's another trades too. I ran warehouses for a while, and finding someone who's skilled on a forklift that doesn't go in there and power through and try to impress everybody with their handling skills and the speed they can go. Finding some
stuff off the front because they forget to tilt stuff up.
Let me tell you a little anecdote here. I used to train people as forklift operators professionally, and I went to this company on Kenai, Alaska, down in the town of Kenai, and everybody did great on it. I had them, since they spent most of their time outside on the forklift going around their parking lot. I had a guy. We were going to the parking lot. Man, he was bouncing all over the place, driving and showing me how good he can drive. And I got back there. I said, "Slow down." He says, "But I'm good at this." I go, "I can see that, but slow down." So he did it again. He was tearing around there again. So I took a rickety chair, balanced it precariously on a pallet, and said, "If you can get around this parking lot with that chair on there, I'll pass you. And he was driving very carefully and watching, and about halfway around it, you could see it on his face. He's like, oh. He gets back, he goes, it's not about the forklift. It's about the load you're carrying. That's exactly. You just learned it. That load isn't there for you. You're there to carry that load correctly. So he got it. So where can we go from here? Something I'd wanted to say in previous podcasts is my dad, and I think you can identify this, repeats a lot of the same phrases over and over again ad nauseum.
Yep.
Yeah. So I do that quite a bit too. And my son's like, rolls his eyes and goes, yeah, I know. You've said that about a jillion times before.
I'm doing it I talk for over 80 minutes every week. I'm already starting to do it. Then again, I'm the same age you are when I was 1 year old.
That's
so
true. That's
when it starts.
Yeah,
it's all downhill. If I'm reading signs out loud, it's starting.
Pretty soon your eyesight's going to start. Oh, wait, you already got your LASIK.
Already fixed that. I'm apocalypse ready.
You're ready to go.
Learning trades and getting my eyes fixed. I'm ready.
One of the things he used to say was, and he said this to all my brothers and everything, he says, you graduate high school, join the military, find out what it's like to be a man, and then you can get out and figure out what you want to do. That was pretty much the way I grew up, is okay, well, the expectation, graduate high school, get that diploma, wear that cute little cap. Next thing you know, you're wearing another cap with much shorter hair, and you're marching everywhere. But, as much as it was more of an expectation, I'm glad I did it, because it really did. It gave me a trade. I learned logistics and supply chain. It gave me a trade, something I found out I was very good at. And being able to do something that you find out you're good at under immense pressure. And in the military, sometimes it's very intense pressure. When an operational need is relying on you to come through to make sure the helicopters have what they need to go out and rescue people, to make sure the ship has everything on board that it needs to go out and do its mission, saving people, or something as simple as putting a buoy in the water. Having them rely on you to be able to do it, you've been real world tested in a big way. And that's one thing your military service does. You have been tested in a way that many other people out there who have never served have never been tested. You've had other people's lives on your line, in your hands. You've had other people's careers at sometimes in your hands. So having the fate of others in your hands kind of gives you a bit of an edge on things. Okay, we're going to pause for a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Robert Benedict here. This podcast is being made for free for everybody. But if you would like to help out, there's a lot of equipment and time put into this. I'm going to post some pictures on Facebook so you can see for yourself what's involved in this. But if you'd like to help out a little bit, we do have a Patreon page. So it's patreon.com/YouServedUS. Again, that's patreon.com/YouServedUS. Anything you can give would be helpful on this. Thank you. Okay, this has been this episode of this podcast. We hope that you look further into the trades. Like I said, they're sorely needed. They need people pretty bad. So we want to thank you all for listening to this podcast, and please subscribe if you could. And thank you for listening, and thank you for your service.
The Petri Dish. The Petri Dish. The Petri Dish.
This is
The Petri Dish. The Petri Dish. The Petri Dish. This is the Petri Dish. There's something growing in here, and it's whatever is attracting ants on the stove. I gotta clean over there. I just cleaned it like 2 weeks ago, but everyone in this house is fucking animals. I hope you enjoyed the first half of this podcast, and I bet you thought, oh no, I downloaded the wrong thing. Nah, guess what? Corporate branding, motherfuckers. That was my dad's podcast. Now, this ain't your dad's podcast. Or, I guess, my dad's podcast. Yeah. It is mine now. Well, this one's mine.
I can get blue in this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Do whatever you want. My dad's here. You heard him earlier, and now you're going to hear more of him, because his podcast is short, and mine is indulgently long. Honestly, sometimes I make it too long, just because, like, I'm like, I still got stuff to say, and then I'm like, it's been 90 minutes.
And you never tend to ramble.
Not at all. Let's see. It's Monday. Guess what? We're doing everything last minute this week.
Yeah, we are.
Guess what? Things are last minute sometimes. I spent the whole weekend really just smoking cigars, drinking. I went to Total Wine and just tried to see if I could get them to import beer Lao. And guess what they didn't do?
They don't
have that at all. They have it in California, supposedly, but apparently the Nevada stores can't search it in the California stores to then put it in the Nevada stores. So I think I'm going to have to order it online from the California stores, get them to ship it to Nevada, and then go out there and be like, hey, I want this. Because she was like, we had it in 2013, and I was like, come on.
I wasn't here back then.
Yeah, so I just bought like a 6-pack of Thai beer.
To be honest, that is a really good beer.
It's so good, and I want it again just so I can like... Because if I'm going to sit around my house getting ripped on dumb stuff, it's either going to be the stupid alcohol I make or beer Lao, because that stuff... I'm gonna make people drink it traditionally with me with a cup full of ice cubes.
No, you should put it in a plastic bag like they do in Laos.
Oh God, that would
with a straw in it.
I gotta do something with all my Walmart bags.
I remember talking to your uncle about it, and he said it's a Czechoslovakian recipe that they got it from. But the people who gave them or sold them the recipe, or they didn't enter licenses for, really liked the Lao version of their beer better than they liked their own version.
Different grains,
different water,
yeah.
Everything's different in it, but basic recipe is there. Theirs is so much better.
Yeah. So I mean, like, legit, if they're like, oh, it's a 5-case minimum, I'll be like, here's $200. Fuck you. I'll take all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't care.
How'd that go? One time we were in, was it Virginia?
Something.
We were
driving
in
the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. You looked it up. And it's like, yeah, we found it in some off the wall store. We had to drive like a couple of hours out of the way to get to, and
it was legit like 2 hours out of our way. But we weren't doing anything. Yeah. We were on a road trip for the road trip's sake.
They had a case -1 because apparently there's a guy who orders it and he comes in and buy a beer at a time. So
and we drained his whole thing.
Who's the one that took all my beer?
Stole some poor Lao guy's stash in the tiny town he lives in.
I don't remember what town that was, but
me neither.
It was below. It was after Washington. I think it was Virginia.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Virginia. Somewhere in Virginia, we were driving down to
because we had just gotten done with Boston and New York and that whole area.
Yeah, we're heading down.
We were heading down south.
Yeah,
and we were just like, well, we got like 2 days before we got to be anywhere. So what are the sights? And I was like, fuck the sights. We got beer.
Well, not much you can see from the highway anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's like we were stuck on the New Jersey Turnpike, and I was like, oh, I can see New York.
Yeah, there it is, right over there.
Still never been.
Nope.
I don't know if I want to.
We waved as we did actually go through New York, but briefly.
There's like a little nugget of it.
You've been there.
I don't count that.
No.
Nah.
Well, I count. When people ask, "Hey, you ever been to such and such a state?" Yeah, I have.
If I stopped there at least to pee, I count it.
Well, that's a layover. You had a layover there. Flight. Yes, I've been there.
Been to Korea.
Yep, you've been to Korea. Been to Taipei, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, and now you've been to some other wild, wacky Chinese places.
No, fuck China. I'm never going back.
It's horrible.
No, I hate that place.
I've heard stories about it. I didn't want to. I loaded you up enough with a lot of precautions before you went that I didn't want to add to it. But I heard they're pretty bad there.
The worst part about China was being stuck with Mom and Dave. That was honestly the worst part because not only are they lost to the world, they're stuck in their own world. And I am very much not a follower when it comes to traveling.
Right.
Whenever I'm in any situation, people think I know what I'm doing because I walk with purpose towards the thing that I think I'm at.
Yeah.
And so they were like, he knows where to go. And they were following me. And I was like, keep up. I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going. And so
you can magically read Chinese. But correct me if I'm wrong, those airports do have English in them. So
and also, I could understand their broken English. Like Mom and Dave are just so deep in their own version of English. They don't.
Yeah.
They can't even pretend to understand people with that heavy of an accent. And I was like, I got this. So yeah, I was having to navigate through a foreign country by myself, essentially. And I was like, if I didn't have other people to tag along with me that were slow and
that's the way,
wanting to double check things because I'm a child to them. And I was like, yeah, but you guys are going to get beaten with phone books in a Chinese prison, not me.
No, that's true. No, when your mother and I were married and we traveled overseas, she just basically followed me, and I just, I'm the same way. Walk with purpose. Walk like you know what you're doing. People don't bug you. People don't see you as a mark.
Yeah.
People don't try to take advantage of you. And that's what I did. And, you guys followed behind. And luckily everything's in English. And, you've traveled in enough airports. You kind of know what's going on.
I mean, like...
You can read numbers.
And also, when you think about the way any airport is set up, like I know people love to play that things are so confusing, like in casinos or airports or anything. It's like, no... You just gotta, feel out, how would someone fuck with me in this building?
Yeah. Yeah, the airports are designed by the same people no matter where it is in the world. They're all designed by the same people. So it's
just big front area, and then you go through these gates, and then there's going to be separate wings? Yeah, right. I get it.
Yep.
It's logically, it makes sense, the way an airport would be set up.
Duh.
But some people just don't understand that for some reason.
No, they don't.
I get logistics a little better, I guess, on the way things are built.
Plus, you tend to look at things in a more logical way and less scattered way than a lot of people. That's what you look. Here I am being all serious on your podcast.
I don't know what this podcast even is anymore.
I know. I listen to it every week. Just
the next podcast is supposed to be the big 150th episode.
Oh, yeah,
I ain't got shit going on.
You should have everybody come over for a big party.
I mean, I'm afraid the whole system's gonna just fuck me over again if I try to make a party out of it.
Do it like a musical chairs type of thing.
And just get people hop in.
You're done for 5 minutes. You're done for 5 minutes, and just be the orchestrator.
I might do something because at this point, I'm so over doing this podcast, but it's been 3 years. It's been 3 years going that I'm like, well, if I stop, then I admit defeat.
Yeah.
And
it is so different than it was when you first started.
And honestly, I feel like that's I don't want to be defeated by this thing I created and only I care about.
Right.
Really, I feel like that's such a strange determination that I put, so much pressure that I put only on myself.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this earlier. I have all the patience in the world for everyone but myself.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, so I'm just like, what are you going to do? Quit? Yeah.
You're always your own worst critic.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, you're always your own worst critic.
I've just been talking about, what am I going to do next? Nothing. What? I got too much stuff on my plate. What's the stuff? The bullshit that I put on my own plate, I guess. It's like going to a buffet. I've finally learned to, portion things out rather than just load up on the first thing that catches my eye and then realizing half my fucking plate's gone.
Yeah.
Now I'm finally learning to do that, but with my time and money management and business and
it's all a part of being a grown-up boy.
It's stupid. Stupid. I gotta drop everything again.
That year, and you were witness to it, but was it 6-7 years ago? I just completely simplified my life. Mm-hmm. I pitched a lot of the dead weight, got rid of a lot of the old, keeping myself involved in this and involved in that and involved in this is just wore me out. And then I used to do what you do now. I'll do this massive amount of things, and then I'll just drop it all, and then slowly build it up again, and then drop it all because it's so tiring. Mm-hmm. But I'm a little older than you are, so when it tires me out, I'm out for days. I'm no good. But simplifying my life helped out quite a bit.
I'm surprised I haven't quit this yet. The amount of, I guess, emotional changes and things that I've gone over the past 3 years. The fact that I maybe have missed 1 or 2 weeks over the past 3 years of putting this shit out, wow, should I not have been podcasting?
This year has been especially unkind to you.
Yeah, this year I should have been podcasting at many points. Even 2 years ago when I was living at mom's house trying to convince people to come out.
Yeah.
I should have been podcasting.
I should have been podcasting in your mom's garage.
Yeah, I should have been focusing on putting my life back together.
Then you had that shabby chic or really craptastic apartment. There next to the pepper mill.
Yeah, the one that people said was like Rocky's apartment.
Yeah,
Lionel said that on the podcast. He was like, "This is like Rocky's apartment in the first movie." I was like, "Thanks."
Yeah, I think yours is a bit of a step above, but yeah, I see his point. Yeah,
I don't know about that.
Bad. You walk in and immediately you smell either natural gas or propane. I don't know what that was, but immediately you smell it.
That was the heater.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
And it's just always going. Even in the summer, I was like, "Smells like hot gas in here. I'm gonna die."
Yeah. I'm like, why is my son not dead yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I ask myself that every day in that apartment.
Well, I got to tell you something. As a listener, I've heard every single podcast you've done, sometimes twice because I'm bored.
Yeah,
traveling cross country, you want to do something. They have lately shown a little less zeal, and they're more of a it's like let's just shit
what's
one
going
out.
Like what's been going on this week? Nothing.
Austin Nick, sit down and just shit something out, would you?
But honestly, that's how they've always been. It's just before I was pretending there was a structure.
Yeah.
And I was like, now we're going to play Mad Libs, or, well, let's talk about this question. Now I'm like, I don't fucking care anymore. I don't care about any of this. I don't care about the podcast. And, I should. I shouldn't be doing things I don't want to do. But, there's that fear of, if I admit defeat, I have failed at this thing that I put 3 years into.
This is kind of an oxymoron, but you kind of have an aggressive apathy.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and that might also tie into the reason my relationships don't work. Is I'm just like, I'll show you how much I fucking care.
Yeah,
and then it's like, wait, why is it a competition with myself?
Well, let me warn you, because you are so much like me that I scared the shit out of people first because I was so. I'm going to be the good boyfriend. I'm going to be your good boyfriend. I'm going to be there for you whatever you want. I'm going to be there for you. And all they're seeing is my hands waving in front of them, going blah, 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 blah. So you got to sit back once in a while and go, yeah, cool, whatever. You got to pin back to those 80s movies where hey, I'm going to be the nonchalant guy, those I'm going to turn you into the best lover ever. Okay, you have to act like you don't care and stuff.
Right.
Find that balance. Because you don't want to be all in and just scaring the hell out of them by your constant presence and annoyance.
Yeah, it's I've been annoying.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just at the point where I'm like, yeah, maybe I should treat the podcast and relationships differently so that I'm not constantly at a war with only myself.
Right.
Just to make it work.
And I do have to give your mom some credit here. I think she was very patient with that young man.
Well, also just because she's crazy.
Well, no comment. That's my ex-wife.
Right.
So,
there it is.
If you say it, you're a son talking about her mom. If I say it, I'm a.
She doesn't know how podcasts work.
That's okay. Someday she may get it, but then I sound like this angry ex-husband who's no, yeah. You can make all the comments you want. It's your life, man.
Yeah. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what the fuck is that? Whatever. I was like, we did one podcast.
Is that English?
I'm so fucking burnt out. Work has been busy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work out every day. I signed up for a 10K.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
On Thanksgiving.
That's brutal.
I was signed up for a 10K on Thanksgiving.
That is brutal. So you'll be very hungry by the time you come over to our place for Thanksgiving.
It's called the Wobble Before You Gobble 10K.
Only in this family, only you would sign up for Wobble Before You Gobble.
Yeah. And so it was funny. I told Jesse and Quentin about it. I was like, I signed up for this 10K. And Jesse's like, I signed up for that, but only the 5K. And Jesse is a runner.
He's in better shape than you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I used to do 5Ks. They're brutal. And it's only 3.1
miles because 10K is 6.2.
Yeah, and that's brutal.
Yeah.
And I saw you do just right at about 11-minute mile, and I told you on Instagram, I think it was, best I ever did was 11.35 or something like that.
When I'm not on a treadmill, though, I did 2 miles around the marina the other day just to see. I barely made it below 15 minutes a mile.
Yeah.
But I was keeping a steady pace. Yeah, and the wind was fucking me up so hard.
Well,
but yeah, for 2 miles, I was still only not even just under 15-minute mile pace.
Yeah.
So if I can make 3 laps around the marina and survive, That's a 10K. So I got to start training a little bit now because I have 2 months before I'm fucked.
Well, do you remember those races I was in Honolulu?
Yeah, like running around the entire...
We ran around the entire island of Oahu. It was called the Perimeter Run. And you have a team of 7. It's a relay. You actually have a baton in your hand. You're wearing a vest because none of the lanes are marked. There's no safety lane for you to run in. You're just running where the cars go. But you have a team of 7. You're running 130 some odd miles, 134, 137, something like that miles with a team of 7. So each time you run, you'll run for 5 to 7 miles. Get in the van.
Try to sleep.
Let the other 6 people run while your muscles are cramping up, while you're trying to carb load, while you're trying to drink some water to rehydrate yourself, and then when it's your turn, you get out and run another 5 to 7 miles. The first time I did it, I was in better shape and better prepared, but I only did like 14, 15 miles of it total in fits and spurts, and I actually was the one who ran across the finish line.
Nice.
But I was so slow, and my team were not really full of runners. Man, they took down the finish line. Nobody's there. They were gone.
Dude, that sucks.
We complained. I said, we ran around the entire island. We couldn't stay there for a little while. I mean, you guys organized this race. You couldn't stay there. Well, the next year I joined the same team. We had a few different players, and one of the guys hurt himself in the middle of it, so I had to run after my leg. They said, sorry, he's hurt. You have to keep going. So I'm a big guy. I'm not nearly as big as you. I'm a big guy. Even when I was in my best shape of my life, at this time I was probably about 230, 240 pounds. Big guy. They called me the Clydesdale because big guy. But I still managed to I did like 18, 19 miles on that particular run. And I was in the same place. I finished up at the rear. Finally, there was a finish line and people clapping and cheering you on. I was like, damn well better be there. Mm-hmm. I just ran around this damn island. Ran around this island. But that was incredible. Running downtown in Honolulu. Would you want to run around downtown?
God, no. Isn't that the vehicular death capital?
It's one of the busiest places with traffic in the United States. I think there in L.A. or Chicago or whatever. But I think downtown Honolulu was the busiest.
The amount of tourism, and they're all packed so tight.
Yeah. So that was rough. But again, I was only my fastest was only like 11.35 miles an hour, so which was pretty good clip. I think when I got to the van on my first leg, I pounded on the van, but I had to keep running. You can't stop. You have to keep running. And they're like, "Oh, he's here already. That big fat ass is here already. Wow, he got here quick." So they came running after me. Ahead of their baton, and I was sucking wind for about 15 minutes.
I still can't even jog a full mile. I was still walking in between, and so it's like, I don't know why I would sign up. I told myself I wasn't going to do to myself what you did to yourself, which is go too hard immediately and then wreck yourself forever. Yeah. And here I am doing that exact thing because we are impossible goal setters so that we can prove we can do a thing, and then we die afterwards.
Right now, I have chronic shin splints. Yeah. I can't run anymore without them flaring up, and boy, that hurts like hell.
I barely did a mile on the treadmill today, and I was like, oh no! I can feel my shins.
Be careful of that because
I did the marina yesterday. Yeah, did the 2 miles, and I was like, oh no! I'm doing that exact thing.
Yeah, don't do that
because I've been hitting the gym so hard. I haven't really been taking rest days. I've been going and doing some sort of exercise, either at the gym or the marina,
you gotta rest
5
your body
or 6 times a week.
You got to rest your body, otherwise you're not getting any benefit of all that exercise.
And so I really have been just eyes on the prize of beating Nick and the weight loss.
You're trying to get down to that 300.
Yeah, and I'm at 315 right now. I'm fucking close that I'm going to ruin myself if I don't verbalize it here so I can listen tomorrow and go, I am retarded. Yeah. I won't be able to do this.
And the thing is, the really bad part is you'll get down to where you can see it. It's right there, and then you'll hit a plateau.
Yeah,
and you won't do anything. In fact, you may even gain weight for weeks. Nothing will happen, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. You'll just fall off after that.
And that's where I think I did the smarter move of over the past 3 months. I've been doing a lot of weight training. I've been doing
That's
a lot
good.
of weightlifting.
You gotta mix it up.
So that once I decide like fully cut, just focus on diet, focus on cardio, I'll shrink up real good because I've been building there's no reason for my biceps to be the size they are right now. But I've been like, let's see what I can do. And now I'm like, okay, cut all that, focus on weight management, cardio, and just being able to carry my body around.
Right.
And I think if I focus on that over the next month or two, by the time I hit the 10K, I should be under 300. God, I hope I'm at least in the 280s.
Yeah.
Because ultimately,
That's hard.
I know that I need to be in the 215 to 220 range of weight when I actually look at the way my body is built.
Yeah.
If I want, but I'll be skinny as shit. And so comfortably, I know I could be in the 240s or 250s and be fine. But I don't want to be, the big dude anymore.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
done. I'm
hard.
done. It's I've lived my entire life like that. Sure, it's cool for the novelty of it. I'm fucking done with it. I work in a fucking office.
Yeah.
And when I'm on stage, I look ridiculous. Even when I'm not at my super fattest, it looks crazy, me next to a microphone stand holding a regular size guitar, and it looks like it's for children.
Right.
I'm just done with that.
Well, I remember back when you were in high school, you did that talent contest, and you were the drummer in the band.
Yeah.
And you were sitting behind this regular-sized drum
Regular
set,
size.
and you get up there, and one of the judges are like, is that a small drum set? Regular size?
No, regular size
you
drum
are
set.
a large human being, Bobby. I
love it.
I remember almost exactly.
I think that was
what they
Mr.
said.
Prince. That was the former Marine.
Oh, is that right?
He loved fucking with me so much.
That's good, yeah, because you need that.
Yeah, I liked him.
No, my ideal weight, according to the military, was about 195.
Yeah.
And I haven't been 195 since I was in my early 20s. I got up to 240. 240 looks pretty good on me. I look fit. I look trim. Look kind of buff. So 240 looks pretty good. But I haven't been at 240 a long time either.
Yeah.
Do you remember me back in Kodiak? I got kind of fat and doughy in Kodiak.
Yeah.
When we first got to Honolulu and I started running, I would walk out the gate, jog down the street to the park. I couldn't even get the 200 yards. I couldn't even get the 200 yards down to the end of there, and then I'd just get completely wiped out, and I'd just walk the rest of the way. Well, the next day, I would jog a little further. A couple days later, I'd jog a little further. I mean, I was really, really chipping away at that to where a year later, it took me that long.
Yeah.
A year later, I was able to go run all the way down to the park, run all the way around it, and come all the way back a little over 3 miles, about the size, about a 5K. And I was like, I started getting no benefit from it anymore because it was so easy to do that I started going down, jogging around that park twice, then coming back because you get accustomed to a certain thing and your body just quits recognizing it. That's why switching it up by I'm going to do weights today.
Doing rowing machine has really been helping.
Yeah,
Especially because my cardio is doing real good right now. Even if I spend a whole weekend smoking cigars, my cardio's fine. It was my legs started to hurt and my shins, and I was like, shit. I looked at my heart monitor and I was like, I'm barely above 110 on the heart rate right now, and I'm like, not even sweating like I usually am. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm going to ruin myself.
Yeah. So you definitely need to mix that. Well, I mean, what you need is your body to go, oh, shit, we're doing this now instead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be like, oh, we're doing this again.
So I got the boxing gloves and stuff too, so I can at least go work on that. But
there you go. Go beat up a tree out front or something like that.
I got the rock climbing gym.
Oh, good.
That I can go to now too.
I saw you
it's-
posted pictures about that.
Yeah,
That's
like
cool.
I got different things that I know I can go do, but it's just now I've really put my eggs into the running basket for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you kind of committed yourself.
God,
I did the same
hate
thing.
it. Yeah,
I did the same thing. Some people ask me, hey, Rob, we need the seventh person. We need the seventh person for our team. And we see you running all the time. I'm like, I've never raced before except, in track and junior high.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. Damn, I just committed myself. Now I have to
You're like,
train
now you
for
gotta do
it. Damn it.
Yeah.
So then I did it, and I realized that was hard. And then
But
I
you
was
did
like,
it.
I did it. And boy, now I can say, hey, I did the perimeter run twice. So that was in 2002 and 2003. I think in 2004 I didn't do it.
But I mean, yeah, you were in great shape back then. It
Yeah.
sucks that your whole body just started giving out on you.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid, because I'm doing it younger than you were.
Yeah.
So I hopefully won't fall apart as catastrophically, but I'm also hitting it way too hard, way too early. Like I did the 8K. I only walked it. Like I didn't jog at all for it. The cop was following me the whole time. But like,
funny.
But I still won first place
in
my
category.
age division, because no other 20 to 29-year-old signed up for just walking.
So you came in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th.
No, I came in first place.
Okay, but you came in first, second, third, fourth.
No, I
fifth,
came in
sixth,
first
okay.
place. There's no other number. I can't multiply myself.
Okay. You were there, and I know you're poking fun at it too, but man, take some pride in it too, because you did it.
I showed up.
You did it. And I'll tell you, and here I'm going to get all philosophical. Most of life is just showing up and doing it.
Yeah.
That's most of life.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you become a rock star and you do something fantastic, and every once in a while something punches you in the nuts.
Yep.
Half of life is just, most of life is just showing up and going through the motions.
And that's what I'm slowly learning this
Yeah.
year is, if you want to do something, try it.
Yeah.
If you want something, ask.
Yeah.
If you need help, get it. Like all these simple things where it's just like, oh, if you don't lock yourself in your house all day and just watch fucking YouTube videos of Claire Saffitz making her own Starburst, your life can be pretty okay.
Claire's pretty cool though.
Those videos are my favorite thing.
I love that shock of gray that she has in her.
And she's getting even more gray now.
that right?
It's just very distinct.
Being an older guy, I like a good shock of gray, or at least a nice feathered in gray. I like that.
I mean, I can't say I hate it.
Oh, she's good. She's cute too. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. Okay, here we are getting. I guess this is a podcast we can get like that.
Yeah, this is the exact podcast to do it on.
Not the last podcast. You could really do
We're
that.
both into short women that are, that show that they have a maturity about them.
Yeah, I like that.
Kind of stern about everything.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's
hard to explain to other people.
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of like it when they're just a little mean to me.
Here's something that I can explain to people on this podcast. I can't really say it anywhere else, but my problem is I like tough women.
Yeah.
And I like women who have an edge. I like women who can take care of themselves,
Mm-hmm. If they don't need you.
Yeah, if some guy comes up and threatens her, she can punch them in the jaw, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
I like women like that. Unfortunately, throughout my life, those women that I am attracted to want to be with other women.
Yeah.
So my problem is I'm attracted to the type of person that isn't going to be attracted to me at all. And I either have to accept something that I'm not necessarily attracted to, or find that one in a million person who's, who I'm attracted to that isn't into women.
Yeah.
And, more power to them. They find happiness, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess that person's unavailable to me now.
Yeah. Now, add to that the added generations that I like the same things, where I'm like, they can take care of themselves, and then they have to write on their Tinder that they're into ethical non-monogamy. And
that one made my brain hurt, but I did get it.
Yeah.
I did get it, but boy, my brain almost cramped up.
Yeah,
there.
and I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I'm into that.
Yeah.
Where it's basically just saying, like, you're not going to be the only one. Like, I don't like that kind.
Ethical non-monogamy. It's like the twist tie on a bread. You know, it's like it's just like.
Can't do that. And there's other bullshit. Well, even the extra layer of, I'm like, I like when they also enjoy punk rock and have colored hair. And I'm like, again, lesbians.
Yeah.
Shit.
Damn it.
Every time.
So, it's like, hey, I end up becoming friends with people, but darn it, I'm attracted to you too. It's quite the shame, but, I remember that one time you and I were doing karaoke is just after you graduated college.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just after everybody left. We were doing karaoke after that, and that lady comes running out after me.
Yeah.
Rob. So, yeah. Oh, I really know. She's talking to me, and I didn't even. It's been so out of my brain for people to flirt. I had no idea she was even flirting with me until she after explaining to her, my ex-wife and her husband were there. My mom was there. It was great. Had a great time. And she goes, "So you single?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, here's my number. Why don't you call me sometime?" It's like, "Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. You have a good night and everything." And she trotted off, and you were like, "Damn, Dad."
Getting it.
Suddenly you got game. And then I was like, "Did you catch her name?" And you're like, "Oh, yeah, never mind that one.
Oh, yeah.
My mother's name. Yeah, I don't suffer animal complex. I'm good." I was like, "Oh, I'm not interested in dating, but, would have been nice to have someone who's fits within, you have your things you like and things you don't like, things you can accept and things you don't accept." And what are those graphs, those
Venn diagram?
Venn diagrams, yeah. You want to have something in there that was outside of it.
Yeah, that was one of those things where you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, as you get older and the dating pool kind of narrows a little bit, that diagram kind of opens up a little bit. You kind of can accept maybe something.
I'm trying to accept a lot of things right now. Because, again, a lot of the things that I like, I'm like, they're too specific.
Yeah.
They're too specific, and I've already spent too much time not forging ahead in, like, the family style. I'm like buying my own house and starting a career, and I'm like, oh, I have nothing to do this for.
You're doing everything opposite the way I did it.
Yeah.
Which is good for you.
Like, it's good, but also I'm like, oh, man, now I have a weird life where I'm kind of set in my ways. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We would have to share this.
Where would you fit into this life that I've created for myself that we didn't create together?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm down to build more life later, but this is where I'm at right now, and it's kind of weird. You could help me with the chickens, I guess.
You want to be the chicken lady?
Sorry, there's a lot of instruments in the house.
This is kind of a bachelor pad.
We're going to have to hang out with a lot of comedians all the time. The painting of me you see above my fireplace is a joke.
Yeah, don't take it seriously.
It fell down, so I was like, it can stay down.
Yeah, it's up there now.
It's up there.
One of the funny things is you talk about, therapy.
Yeah.
A lot. The last therapist I went through, let me tell your listeners.
Yes.
The 3 or 4 you have.
Well, you're one of them. So, yeah, tell yourself.
So 5. Okay.
Tell yourself and Jay Randall.
Hi, Jay. But, your mother and I were having trouble, so I sought therapy. And I went to go see the therapist on base, and we were kind of making progress, and he kills himself.
Yep.
So no more. I can't go talk to him anymore. And so finally, I find a therapist downtown in Kodiak, Alaska, and we're making some progress. And she falls asleep on me in the middle of the session.
Good times.
And she blames it on me by saying, "You sure have an interesting way of explaining things."
Huh.
And it's like, oh, did you just seriously blame me for you falling asleep? Maybe you should be more engaged in the work you're doing.
Yep.
So the last time I had therapy, the lady who was fantastic, she was wonderful. She was an older lady who did it from her home, and she'd been doing it forever, and she was great. And she said, "What do you hope to gain from this?" And I explained it to her. She goes, "Have you ever had therapy before?" And I says, yeah. "Well, how'd that turn out?" I says, "Well, the first guy killed himself, and the second lady fell asleep on me during the middle." And she's like, "I will try not to do both of those." I says, "Thank you. If you could avoid those 2 things, I'd appreciate it." And I think I did it on EAP, which is a great program, by the way. The Employee Assistance Program.
Yeah.
But I did it on that, and I got 8. And by the 7th one, I was done. I was suffering from depression, I found out. But here's the funny thing. The very people that I'm attracted to are the worst people for my personality type. Mm-hmm. And one thing she told me is, she goes, "You like people, you are attracted to people who are the worst for you." And she goes, "Let me just tell you now, you have mommy issues."
Yeah.
And finding somebody who's domineering, like your mom was, finding someone who is doesn't steer the ship with you, takes control of the ship and steers you, finding a person who does that is the wrong type of person for you. So here I am. I'm like, well, I wasn't really planning on dating anymore, so this just basically, put a stamp on it. It's like, I'm in my early 50s. I'm still, I'm a fairly good-looking guy for my age, I suppose. I have most of my teeth. I have relatively intelligent, pretty decent job. So, I'm kind of a catch to people my age, I guess. But the people I'm attracted to are not good for me. So, like I said, I guess that puts a stamp on it. Unless somebody comes along and completely wows me, I'm done. Yeah, it's no harm for me. I've been basically single since 96, 97, basically, legally since about 04. So no big deal.
Sounds terrible.
It's horrible.
I would blow my brains out.
Let me tell you, it's you kind of get used to your own loneliness, and it's probably why I occasionally, hey, what's going on? It's just like, hey, how you guys doing? What you guys up to? I'm not necessarily lonely, but it's kind of lonesome.
Yeah.
But you kind of get used to it, and you kind of start enjoying it after a while. You kind of enjoy the solitude. You kind of enjoy the peace, and it's like, well, let's see. What am I going to do today? Well, I make those decisions, and I don't have to run them by anybody or bounce them off anybody.
So the answer is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah. But, as where your mother and I used to bounce things off each other, and she'd basically tell me what I had to do, and I'm sure you probably recognize that. I don't have to do that anymore. And having lived under a strong arm, having lived under a strong arm almost my entire life, it's nice to have that freedom and not have to do that anymore. And here we are getting all sad and somber all of a sudden. Okay, he can't see it, but I'm not actually in tears.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, I'll do deep sobs on my way home.
Yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm glad I get my drive against complacency from Mom.
Yeah.
So that I also get her addiction issues. So
yeah, you sure do.
I get a little bit of column A and column B from everybody.
You really
it's a
do.
fun Punnett square.
And the thing is, it's like, I know some people in my life, and you might too, who get every bad thing from both parents.
Yep.
It's like this person is bad at this, and this person's bad at that, and that kid gets bad of everything. You at least have a good balance.
Yeah, I get the others. Like the good thing is I inherited managed the other parts that are bad well enough to where I'm like, yeah, sure, sometimes I'll fly off the rails with either alcohol, drugs, fast food, or working out. Any of the combination. Where, no matter what, I'll be laid up for 24 hours after whatever I do.
It's an addictive personality. It's a person who can not necessarily fall into addiction, but you binge on things, and then it's like, oh, fuck this, and then you stop for a while.
It's that need for self-gratification in the simplest way possible, either through whatever it's going to be, including gambling, know? And so it's those things that I have to manage, which is, it can suck because sometimes I sit around in the house going, what am I going to do? And the answer turns into just everything. And so I'll start a million things, burn myself out, and think, I need a day to myself. And then suddenly I'm $300 deep at Atlantis, or I'm seeing how many chicken nuggets I can eat in one sitting. It's terrible shit.
You remind me a lot of me at some point in my life, probably early on. That's like your life is up here. It's up above your head.
Yeah.
And it's moving up above your head, and it's in a frenetic pace. It's moving around everywhere, and you're just trying to dip your head into it every chance you get, and it's tiring, and there's no roots there, there's no settle there, there's no rest there. It's just up there, and I was like that for a long time. I think just getting older tempers that quite a bit.
See, but that's the thing that sucks is because, again, I am only impatient with myself.
Yeah.
All I can think is, why don't you age faster? Get more mature. Faster. Quickly.
Let me tell you something.
Improve.
I was the youngest in my family. I always wanted to be older. I always wanted to be, I was like 12, 13 years old. My brother had a beard. I wanted a beard too. I wanted to get older so I could have that beard, Or like, oh, he got a car? Man, I want to be older so I can have that car. And then, eventually through life, not necessarily chasing your siblings, but you're chasing that, I want to be older so I can get this done. I want to be older so I can get this done. And then my age, you're looking back going, man, I kind of pissed all that away.
Yeah.
Searching for the next, I'm going to be mature at this. I'm going to do this, There's a video that you probably haven't seen in ages if you ever saw it at all, but I was probably about 22, 23 years old. And we were at your aunt's house in Virginia. And, I have this big old video camera, the type you hold on your shoulder. And I'd given it to your mom to kind of walk around with. And she points it at me and she's like, "Hey, Patu," which is grandpa in her language. I was like, yeah, I feel like it. I was always trying to be that older guy. And now that I am that older guy, I kind of look in the mirror and go, oh, this is the guy I kind of thought I was all along.
You're like, this dumb kid.
Yeah, this guy right here, this 53-year-old guy, that's who I thought I was the whole time. Yeah. So finally, at 53 years old, I feel like I fit within my own skin. It took a long time.
Yeah.
But when a couple of years ago when I turned 50, I was traveling across the country. We were going to meet at your grandmother's house, and I was there at a hotel along the way, and I sat down. I was getting ready to text or call somebody, and I looked up in the mirror at myself. I'm like, holy crap, that's the guy right there I thought I was my entire life, that 50-year-old guy. I always thought I was him. Even at 16, 17 years old, I always thought I was that 50-year-old guy. Some people call it old soul or whatever, but you look in the mirror and you're like, you finally recognize that guy as who you are. And that's why probably right now, I'm probably most comfortable with myself I've ever been in my entire life. I've always wanted to be that older guy. So as a guy who's been there, don't piss your youth away.
That's what sucks is I feel like I'm not there yet, but I'm very close. I'm close to the point where I thought I've felt this way. I mean, because since I was 10, people have treated me like I was this age now.
Yeah.
And so now I'm finally looking in the mirror and going like, oh, okay, that's what this is.
Yeah.
That's what this finally is.
Yeah.
And so I'm not there right now, but I feel like this next year I'm going to start looking in the mirror and going like, oh yeah. Yeah, no, this is it.
Yeah,
which I think is bad because with the amount that I talk about the short life expectancy of both the bloodlines that I stem from and the short bloodline of people that are my height or the people that are my size in general, or just every bad thing that I can think. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm halfway through.
Yeah.
I'm halfway through at this point.
Possibly.
I'm like, okay, cool. That's great to know.
You spend a lot of time kind of introspective. You spend an awful lot of time looking at yourself and doing self-assessments and looking within. I used to do that. And it's useful to a point. After a while, you're not living your life. After a while, you're too busy trying to fix what you think is wrong with you to just enjoy life and live within your skin. Not everything has to be fixed. Sometimes you can just be bad at this, or sometimes you can just, I guess I'll never figure this out. I'm cool with that, whatever. But in order to enjoy a very short life that we humans get, you just have to be sometimes not necessarily comfortable in your own skin, but live within it. I'm, like I said, I was 50 years old before I finally looked in the mirror and said, oh, that's the guy. I was not comfortable in my skin. And I feel like I wasted my youth trying to chase down the guy who I'd eventually become anyway. I don't think this is going to get anybody into any legal troubles, but my entire life I've always, dated women who were much older than me. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, I was 16 years old. I was dating a 21-year-old. And I was the mature one of the two of us.
Roughly.
Tells you a little something about the person I was dating. But it's always trying to chase the maturity, always trying to chase the, being that older person, always trying always trying to prove myself as something more than maybe what I actually was or should even be. I feel like I've wasted some of that. So, being able to just, sometimes you see those people who are chipper all the time going, yeah, let's go. Yeah, having a great time, who are like that legitimately all the time, not just faking it. It's not that they're ditzy. It's not well, it might be some of them, but it's not that they're clueless. Maybe they're just
happy,
living within their own skin, or have given up the fact that, okay, yeah, I'm not perfect. So what? Nobody in this world is perfect. Nobody. My God, if there were perfect people, we'd have all the kids would be raised correctly. And I've said this before, one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies from like 1962, Mr. Hobbs Takes a Vacation. Oh, yeah. It was, there's been said, remember this is Jimmy Stewart, so I'm not going to try to imitate him because it's distracting. It's said that in the history of the world, no child has ever been raised correctly. Because, the because is from me now. Well, you look at it, you're human, I'm human. When I raised you and your sisters, I made a shit ton of mistakes. And I've told this to your brother-in-law. I was like, you don't even know what those mistakes are going to be until years later. You're like, oh man, I really fucked that up. Yeah. You don't see the long-term ramifications of this short-term thing I'm doing. Not until much later, you're like, oh man, it's too late for me to take this one back because, man, that cat's out of the bag. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I told your sister a long time ago is, man, if you screw up, forgive yourself. Do your best to try to minimize the effect of it. And, looking at yourself, spending all that time, you're basically torturing yourself. Yeah. You are. You're in your own brain. You're inside your own brain torturing yourself because you're not perfect. And you know what? Look around. You're 27 years old. You've got a high-paying job in a great company that's going someplace. You're an entertainer in many different ways. You own your own fucking house. I didn't get my own house until I was 39 years old, okay? And not all of that is because I was in the military. It's just wasn't ready for it yet. Mm-hmm. So, and you have a sphere of influence, people around you that are freaking awesome. I mean, I don't usually friend my children's friends, okay? It's just kind of weird to do that, but you got some awesome friends, and it's true. And I friend them because they're great people. And if I ever thought that I was, being disruptive to your, I'd unfriend them because I don't want to ruin that. But don't spend too much time inside your own head torturing yourself.
Yeah, but then I make the positive lists just as much as I make the negative ones, and it's just like. What the fuck else am I going to add to this stupid fucking list?
Maybe sometime just make the positive.
Ooh, what am I going to do? Build a chicken coop? Yeah, I fucking am. Ooh, what am I going to do? Run a 10K? Fucking I guess now. Yeah. All right, cool. Lots of fun, positive improvement. Again, I get aggressively positive at myself. Yeah. And so I'm just really, at the end of the day, I end up positively mocking myself into improvement, which is the only way I can keep from torturing myself about the negative things, is now just mocking the positive until I keep on a path of self-improvement.
You know what I just thought is, how manic depressive people can be like manic for a while and depressing for a while. Mm-hmm. You can do it all at the same time.
Exactly. That's why everyone doesn't think that I get depressed. I'm like, no, I just make fun of myself until I decide I'm not anymore.
If you could do that, that's great.
And so it's just that's why I'll get in a sad episode and then I'll end up on the podcast just talking through. I'll be like, yeah, the shit blows right now. I have such a detachment from myself so that I can then look back at myself a day later or whatever I'm in currently and just go well, these are the things that you need to not do so much. Yeah. So at the same time, because I'm constantly detaching from myself, I don't have that grounded center. I'm bad at being in myself, even when I'm in a moment trying my best to be in it, there's that ironic detachment where I'm breaking the fourth wall of my own narrative to then narrate to myself because I'm an audience of me.
Yeah.
Which might be some sort of weird narcissistic thing or a God complex thing that no one's identified yet, but it's a dissociation of self in the moment all the time. For no other reason than to enjoy the narrative of my own life in whatever form it is. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, the other day, I made the mistake of watching a video of me. I made it every time I visited my grandmother, your grandmother's mother, Dorothy. Mm-hmm. Every time I visited her back when we lived in Washington, I would videotape it because I knew eventually.
Yeah,
who's got any kind of thing on her. So I videotaped it as a hope to keep that memory alive. All I could do was torture myself over how I was acting. I was, if you watched it, you'd be like, you probably wouldn't have liked me back then. I was.
Who says I like you now?
I know. You would have liked me less, I think, back then. But I was super expressive. I've really tempered that probably in my 30s. I went after that. Like I said, I've been spending my time trying to be self.
It's definitely where Debbie gets it from.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's more like me in that way than you are. You've kind of.
I've got that,
out.
and I know when to bring it out, but I don't. I don't want that.
I just kept it going and amping it up and amping up.
Because I remember when you existed kind of like that in your 20s and early 30s, and I was like, this is annoying.
Yeah, I was. And, what's funny? As annoying as that is, and as annoying as my personality was back then, I have a phobia of being annoying.
Yeah, because I was about like that until about 8th grade, I think.
Yeah.
7th or 8th grade. Then I was like, I'm done.
You really kind of chilled out and you became pretty mellow, I think, after that. But I watched that and I can't watch it now. I mean, I enjoy seeing my grandmother. I enjoy seeing your two sisters that were tiny little things.
You just like mute it
when
you watch it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's fun to see that again and hearing your sisters' little tiny voices again that have been lost. They're gone. That's fun to watch. But watching me is pure torture because I don't like myself back then. And I think if I met myself back then now, I would not want to hang around me because I annoy the shit out of myself. Now it's different, obviously, but watching that was just pure hell.
Yeah, that's where I have ended up, like, really reining in all of that because I see myself in that view all the time.
Yeah, you do a better job of it. I think I spent torturous time trying to fix myself. You spend quality time.
Yeah, I spend analytical time of just being like, well,
in healthier ways.
Yeah, I was like, that was a mistake.
Yeah. So, looking at myself now, I mean, back then, people would ask, "What's wrong with your face?" Because I was always mugging. I had no idea I was doing it until I watched videos of myself, and it really kind of disturbed me. So, in my 30s, I went after the mugging, went after the being too over the top. In my 30s, I started looking at maybe doing the mellowing a little bit of my personality. But boy, once I saw the videos of it, people can't see it, but I'm moving my head around. You ever watch Tom Hanks's first few movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Kind of tilting the head around and expressive face. Singing on Tom Hanks is okay. Singing on me just annoyed the shit out of me. So I can't see that anymore. So watching those old movies is just torturous. And when you're a parent and you're living the moment, you stop doing that. Tell your kid, don't do that anymore. And you're being stern and stuff. And then you watch the video later on. There's really nothing wrong with them having done that. I'm just being too hard as a dad. I'm looking at them and I'm looking over at them,
they're just playing.
I'm just having a good time. I'm just playing. I'm not doing anything wrong. And I'm seeing videos of myself being too hard on the kids. And I was like, oh, that's another thing.
Because you wanted to be an adult.
I wanted to be an adult. I wanted to be that.
You wanted to parent a child.
I'm the dad, damn it. And, you get out of that. Eventually, what you're doing is you're teaching your kids you're not allowed to have the fun you want to have. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to do the things you want to have. And by the time you came along, I'd pretty much shed most of that. Man, you want to watch Barney 24/7? We'll watch fucking Barney 24/7.
Yeah.
You want to see Lion King for the fourth time tonight?
Seven times in a day.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, Forrest Gump again? Okay, let's just
that's
make
a good movie.
Yeah. At least you didn't ask for shit, you know. But if it's not harmful physically or morally or ethically or whatever, it's not harmful. Hey, neat. What the heck's the difference? You know. It's not harmful. Do it. Let them do it. And by the time you came along, I had gotten rid of my, you know, you're bugging the heck out of me. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there used to be two rules, don't tell me no, and don't talk back to me. Those used to be the rules, and you got to spank it. By the time you came along, that was gone. I had learned how to talk to people. You talk to kids like you talk to people.
Because they have to learn how to be a person.
Yes.
Not just a child the whole time.
Instead of being the boss, barking orders, which does not go over well with kids, you motivate. Just like you motivate an employee, you'd motivate a friend. Hey, you know it'd be a great idea? How about we go over and we do this? I think we'd have fun doing that. Instead of saying, no, you can't do that. You know, it changed by the time you had come along. So, you know, as a parent, as a person, you learn how to navigate those waters. Neat.
Yeah.
How the hell did we get here?
Oh, you know, I just let you roll because you're always down to just. This is basically just a road trip, but as a podcast, and we're not traveling anywhere.
That's true.
I just let you go.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Yeah. The ramblings of, you know, Papa's wisdom. You know, that's the thing is I've told you on one of my other podcasts, on one of my episodes, I think it was the last episode, the September episode, that I tend to share my wisdom whether people want it or not.
Yep.
You know, let her ramble. And early on when I used to do it, I'd get pissed when people wouldn't follow what I'm doing. I told you needed to do this. Why didn't you? It's like
yeah, it was a very long narrative that you crafted. You should have just broken it down in bullet points. But.
Why didn't you follow this? And like I'd said, you know, and realizing years later that I was pretty much telling people who had been there, done that, and been around things longer than I have how to do things they've already been doing. I think I should just shut up.
That happens.
Yeah.
Well. That's probably enough of this podcast.
I think so too. This has been good. Thanks for letting me.
Got any shows coming?
Yes, I'm going to be on the Tonight Show. No, I'll be in Truckee all week next week, and all the weeks thereafter.
Driving the paratransit bus.
Yeah, that's what I do now. Yeah, entertaining people.
Let's see. Listen to You Served US. Comes out the first of every month. As you heard at the beginning of this podcast, because this is the first time both of the podcasts have coincided on the same day, so I figured why not mash them together, because I didn't plan shit.
What the hell?
So now we got the best of both worlds, Hannah Montana style. Let's see. Shows coming up for me. I've got October 18th at the Library Tap House and Hookah Lounge with Sad Giants. Matthew Howlett is opening. Show starts at 8. We'll end by 10 because we just have to make sure we're on a solid schedule so they can get to karaoke right afterwards. So that'll be a fun show. I'm pretty sure everyone's showing up. Everyone says they're showing up, but you know how it goes. If 10% of the people that tell me that they're going to the show actually show up, it'll be a good 20 or so people time. So I hope to see you all there. If not, doing Savage Henry Comedy Festival, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I don't think anyone in Arcata or Eureka, California listens to this podcast, but if you do, and for some reason you don't already know that festival is happening, who are you? Why? What are you doing? Come out to the shows, I guess. Come to the festival. $25 gets you a wristband for the whole weekend. A lot of the shows are free anyway, because it's just a bunch of us assholes putting them on. So come out to Savage Henry Comedy Festival. Do a bunch of drugs. Fuck the police. You know how it goes. Let's see what else is there. I got the 18th. I did a fuckload of demos for the band. I've got like 13 songs that I've got ready to go, so that's pretty dope.
Oh, watch that new video you have out.
Watch the music video for Cheap Carpet.
God,
that came out. I believe we're gonna have the guy that helped us make that video, in on our next music video, if not as the director, at least in the cinematographic parts of it, to help us craft the narrative for our next song, which has yet to have a release date set, but we do have a new song that will be out eventually. As far as shows and everything, that should be it. As far as media that you enjoy, Dad, you digging anything? You got stuff
I
that
still
you
like
enjoy?
watching the Red Poppy Ranch.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's got that house all together. Man, that guy, watch that. Red Poppy, the guy built a house all by himself.
From scratch.
From scratch. And I also like watching that show, Life Uncontained. And it's a young couple from Florida who got some property in Texas, and they're building to put 2 containers together and building a house out of it, and all the neat stuff they have to go through for that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Let's see. What am I digging right now? Steam Powered Giraffe has a few new songs out. That's pretty dope. Let's see. What else is there? Not much. Menzinger's new album comes out on Friday. I'm super excited about that. That'll be real fun. That's about it, really. Like, I haven't been diving into much new stuff.
There's actually 2 more things I like watching. Rich Rebuilds.
I don't know what that is.
It's a guy who basically he bought a couple of really wrecked Teslas.
Oh, nice.
And he basically took them apart and Frankensteined them and made a Tesla.
Sweet.
And he's become kind of like the garage expert on Teslas, and so that's pretty cool. He put together a pretty good program too. And there's also another one that I watch. It's Tim Allen is building an electric. He's taking a 30s coupe and he's making it electric. So that looks pretty cool. I watched that. It's pretty cool. I forgot what it's called, but you look up Tim Allen, you see he calls it the Vic. That's what it is. It's pretty cool.
Well, there you go. Those are the things. Tune in again next week for whatever episode 150 is going to be. Who knows? Maybe it'll just be me and Sam Corbin talking about dicks. Anyway, this has been the Petri Dish. Bye.